everybody. Thank you. Good morning. Thank you for joining us from wherever you are joining us. My name is Soumya. I am the head community engagement at No Work Left Behind. It's my pleasure to welcome you all for a day full of insights, wonderful conversations, and exciting networking opportunities. So, without much delay, I'm going to introduce our first speaker of the day, Vishal Kumar, CEO Tao.ai, and the topic he's going to talk about is all about the theme of our conference today. It's about the future of work and how to redefine work. So I'll let Vishal take it from here, and I'll see you all back in a few minutes. Over to you, Vishal.
Thank you so much, Soumya. Guys, can you hear me? Any chance? Awesome. So, 1 second. Okay. I'm trying to see how things are. Okay, good. So first, thank you so much, Diksha and the entire crew of No Worker Left Behind. This is putting something like this is not, it's not easy. It requires a lot of effort, lot of energy, lot of, and I could not thank you enough. And being from the technology side, being from the technology end, it always felt that if you're from technology, like even AI, which is again all the more. So um, you feel there need to be a common platform where the entire community can come together and have a conversation about what we are seeing, how to think about work. Because um, in the past, the disruptions were just mono disruption. So there is either a horse cart being replaced by a car, or maybe a small hard drive is replacing a huge data center of tubes to store information. But even then, it was remarkable, and basically there was outlets where people come and have this conversation and grow together. And now being from the AI side, there's always this need of um, understanding. There's always a need of having this common dialogue in which you can um, basically uh, bring the social, the public, private, and technology partnerships. Because and Diksha, beautiful example about the Great Depression and what magic Great Depression did to the economy by bringing government as a new participant in this economic goal with the businesses and the workers, and had a seat on the table, and then start creating this incentive structure in target striking each and every community. Now we have a different kind of dialogue which needs to happen, and that is pretty much where the AI and technology itself is so mature that it is seeking its role in this ecosystem. So now technology is now claiming it's mature enough, it's reliable enough, so as a society we need to have this argument. So I could not thank you enough for giving all of us, whether we are from technology, whether we are from the businesses who are getting stuck, understanding how to look at these technology trends, or whether we are from the public policy front, where our serious citizens' livelihood is at stake. How we can all uh, address this problem. So that's wonderful. So now, when we were asked to talk about this topic, and we are coming from Tao.ai, it's a technology company. We are the AI. So to give you some context, we are a good next few minutes when we talk. So Tao.ai is solving learning and development challenges for the next billion people. So that means they are not on LinkedIn probably. They are they're facing some kind of, either whether it's a technology gap, whether it's an access gap, whether it's an equity gap. How you can bring those communities take advantage of this beautiful economic era when a lot of these new use cases are getting emerged. What can we do as a society so we can all sort of have this interesting dialogue and conversation, and we can all come together. So that's where the Tao, that's where we are investing most of our resources in. And so now what happens, uh, when we were thinking about addressing this idea of rethinking work, which is very close to us, because as I said, we are looking at this problem. We are trying to understand what needs to happen, and we are um, evaluating. So we thought, let us give an AI company's perspective of how we would think about, or at least from the Tao.ai, because that's the one I know the most about. We think about this topic of how the rethinking of work will be seen globally, and to address that. So um, basically, we think about this topic um, from the AI end, we know pretty much. I think media is on top of many of the development that's happening. AI is on top of how, as a society, we are thinking about this particular topic. What we can talk about, what we can share about are some anecdotal examples, some anecdotal stories that really we as in Tao.ai use as a guiding path when we are building something, because we learn a lot from the data, from the interactions, from the engagement that our communities are using. But then we need to bring those analytics, those story, those metrics home by connecting it with some kind of human behavioral pattern, or something from the history, something from the economy, something from our past lives. Our entire team is a comprised of folks who had wonderful life in their career, and they are all coming together and contributing what they have seen, and how they have solved their adversities through either technology or through some of the hacks that they've worked with. So three stories that really come to my mind of how we can solve this particular problem. So um, each of these stories are, so obviously they're something that I can share with. So our entire team, we discuss this a lot internally, of what we can pick from our daily lives, our surroundings, our news, our economy, from the history, from the human brain development, that we can bring home. So let's talk about the one second. Am I audible, guys? Sorry.
Yes.
So okay, good. So now let's talk about uh, the first story. So the scene is set in a beautiful small town in America. So the town of Earlham in Iowa. So just like a small, beautiful town, very social, had its own sort of culture. People are, it has its own history. People have lived their lives on it. They built their houses, their family through it. The entire ecosystem was beautiful. But then, just like every ecosystem, every town um, sees their ups and downs, this particular town is no different. So it had a beautiful past. Now it is struggling. It is struggling, and people were turning away from the town. There were no more economic opportunities. They are leaving for outside, for neighbors, for other major towns, whichever is flourishing. But living this town in ruins, living this town in this lost history. Right. So there was a main street, beautiful, again, full of shops, full of culture. Kids used to play, run around. Everything that a main street should deliver was delivering. Right. Now the shops are getting shuttered. People are just moving. So um, while this was happening, someone from New York, a gentleman called Zachary Mannheimer. So he was on a cross country trip. Okay, so okay, that's fascinating idea, and I think I should do it too. So his car broke down in the town. Car broke down. No, he has nowhere to go. He has nowhere to go. Okay, so now he's spending his time. He's spending his. He said, let me explore this town while the car is being fixed. So he fell in love with the history of the place. He fell in love with the ecosystem, the uh, hostility or the conversation with the locals, and he figured out there are a lot of interesting stories that this town has that has not come out yet, that people need to hear about. So he decided to stay there and use this town. Um, and so he took a small tear down theater in downtown and Main Street, and start teaching theater to the locals. Now, um, a lot of skepticism happened. He was pushed, a lot of pushback, a lot of, but he persisted. He persisted. A few more sort of joined his foray to build that community, and very slowly and gradually, the entire town started turning up. So now it was a big, major art town, and people from neighboring cities and towns start traveling to this particular place, and the town start thriving. The kids who were worried about whether they need to leave and find their schooling and education elsewhere now get a local template to even express themselves. The entire town just jumped and start supporting this gentleman with this initiative. And we have seen the stories everywhere. So we all know somewhere someone in our lives who have really stepped up to the occasion and turned the community around. And internally in Tao, we call this something like spark. So spark is any interesting thought and idea that is looking for its oxygen, right? So now the community itself come and they provide that oxygen. They provide that character, that, and the moment you mix an oxygen to a spark, the fire ensues, right? So the warmth, the entire ecosystem gets influenced, attracted. It became that excitement. It gives the community the warmth, and as a society, so that's one of the takeaway, that when we in this equation on this story, either we are those looking for spark, or either we are those skeptics, or either we are those providing oxygen. And when, as Diksha rightly pointed out, with this disruptive trends and economy, when even we are not sure what is the stable ground, the only thing that's common nowadays is the chaos, the evolution. When everything is on the shaky ground, when everything is getting disrupted, at least we should have each other. At least we should have this sense of, either we call it micro community or we call it community. We have that to our rescue. So that means either so if we see a spark, provide an oxygen. Even if you're a skeptic, be open to the idea. Right now, we are living in this very interesting time where the emotions are rampant and running high. But remember, at the end of the day, we all have similar interests. We all have a family to feed. We all have responsibility to fulfill. And we have a lot of commonality among us. And using that as a good anchor, because the ideological divide is healthy, and we should embrace each of these divides to come together. We should be open. So that means any micro community, and if you're a worker, if you're a business, if you're an HR, if you are a technologist, you should serve and enable and energize these micro communities, so more and more sparks could find their oxygen and flourish. Because what happens, and this is nothing new. We have seen it number of time in the past. Any evolution that happened, we have seen lot of economic development, lot of business emerge. With creative businesses had been given this lift and this oxygen by the community that they're trying to serve. So having this open attitude through this, because we all are stuck in this and we all have to come together. So that's the one. So if we need to rethink work, we should first rethink about our relationship to others. we should rethink about our understanding of the community that are around us. We should be open. We should be listening. We should be serving. Because remember 30, 40 years back, we are all part of the small towns. And that's the only thing we can do beautifully is to serve others. So that's one story. So we should have this micro community and we can serve others. Now let's talk about the second. And this is from my personal. So bear with me. I hope we'll get somewhere with this. So when I was a kid, I'm from one of the world's largest democracy in the world, India, and my family is a faith family, so we used to go to temple quite frequently. And if you're an Indian parent, and if you're a god serving an Indian parent, it's a tough job to gods because they bother God a lot for the good upbringing of their kids. So my family is no different. So they used to take us to temple before every exam or before any important milestone or every anxiety point, and they used to offer seek blessings. As a kid, it was very hard. As a kid, it was boring. To be very frank, it was. I just go there. There's not too much to do. I don't have friends there. I don't have play areas there. So, but what I used to enjoy is the treat that they give at the end called prasadam. And that's a fascinating thing. I used to love it. And then we go back, it become like a chore going forward. So the drill is exam is coming, go there, seek blessing. Uh, you top, okay, you did it good way. No, okay, try again, try harder. So consistent across. So now, couple of years later, now we are teenage, we can go ourselves. We are independent. So I said, Dad, Mom, don't worry, we'll take care of it. Go in and out. So we started sprinting, me and my brother. So we used to start sprint like 3 minutes, 4 minutes in and out. Prashad, ate it and out. So, and one of the time, one priest, he stopped me. He said, "Son, what are you trying to do?" I said, "I have an exam, and I just need to offer my blessing, offer my service, seek blessing, leave, and give my exam. I'm not prepared and all that." He said, "But you are here for what?" I said, "I'm here to seek blessing." And then, okay, sorry guys. I don't know if I'm doing it correctly.
We can hear you, Vishal. Continue.
Okay, sorry. Okay. So now, um, so in and out. So the priest said that, okay, Vishal, so you should offer your talk to the God. This is so you education. So they go to the education God and talk to them. Talk to about your struggle. Talk to about your stress. Unload yourself. So okay, I went there another 2 minutes. Talk to God out. Right. So I didn't get the mess that what we're trying to do, but it was obviously. So a couple of years later, I'm myself and dad. I understand what's going on. So now, one day in our town meeting, so we were serving a lot of these communities. We are providing them learning and development solutions. We are providing them jobs, events they can attend. But the satisfaction score was pretty low. Satisfaction per score was, there's still people worried. There's still people anxious. There's still people panicking. And we never seem to solve the problem. So on one night, this thought hit like a brick that as a society, so when we go to this, whether it's a ashram, whether it's a religious temple, whether it's our peace room, once we go there, we are not being judged. So uh, we stay there, we are included, we are invited, we can um, spend some good time. We get the sense of community there. So with all that in mind, so we can do a lot there. So now, if we look at um, our lives today, our best hours in a day when we are most productive, loyal with loyalty, we go to a place where we dread. Few of us do, or most of us do. Few of us don't admit. So when we go there, how can we serve that place better? How can we serve that community better? So the the thought becomes that, okay, can can we engineer this place called workplace? So I'm sitting. And by the way, HR is doing a fascinating job. The businesses are doing a fascinating job, giving this ergonomic keyboards and lumbar support chair, which keeps my physical health good. But what about my mental health? Why I dread this place? Why Monday most of us get heart attack, right? So that problem, right? And when we are now talk about the anxiety of what even with there will be a job or not, right? We need to have an open mind. We need to have an open attitude. Can we engineer our workplace? Can we engineer it in a way that it, just like anti-fragile, it gives us the strength. It makes us stronger every time we engage, we sit in that chair. Every time we can, and the tools are out there, whether it's meditation, whether it's mood cards, whether it's um, uh, uh, there are a lot of techniques we can use. But can we? So that we adopted that pretty heavily on Tao.ai for that reason, and we start seeing some hope that this is one of the piece that's missing in the idea of rethinking work, is actually rethinking the workplace, actually rethinking. So my community, all good. My workplace, let's fix that. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Now let's get to the third story. And again, I'll bore you with one of my story as well. I'm from India, came to US, get my education here, went to one of the interviews. So English is not our first language. So we always struggle to talk. We always struggle to. So first I had to think in my native language and convert it into this language, and then answer came. So when I'm interviewing, there were four interviewers. I remember the three, and they were throwing the technical question, and obviously this conversion going on, and I'm answering that particular specifically how I can solve that particular problem. The fourth guy, I still remember this. In the middle of so he said nothing for the entire session. In the middle of the conversation, he started chuckling. Not chuckling, it's a smile. And then he asked weird questions, which has nothing to do with the interview. It's nothing to do with what we are talking now in a transactional sense. Very irritating. So, okay, long story short, I was selected in that company. A couple of years later, uh, our paths crossed. We're working on some project, and we were friends. So I can bug him and I can ask him. I said, "Man, why are you torturing people?" He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "It's very cruel that in my interview you are just not even paying attention, and in the middle of the conversation you start just smiling as if some joke really came to your thoughts, and now you're working on this." And he smiled. He smiled and said, "Michelle, you know what? It's not. By the way, so sorry you felt it that way. That's not the intent. What was happening is I've been into this other side of the table for quite some time, and I see people coming in. I see people coming in, and I see they bring in their round peg and they try to fix in my square holes, right? So um, basically, they try to justify how they can do this particular job, that particular job, but they never talk about their expertise, their culture, their um, heritage, their craft uh, that they have honed for quite some time. And company is blessed to have someone's life journey's work contributed to their value system. They can scale pretty high. But because it's a transactional that this job needs to be done that way, we lose out. So the moment I see in an interview and I see the soul or I see this craft coming out, that's where I enjoy. That's the time when I start enjoying the interview. And that's where my question were targeted towards your craft and not really what you can do for us in the job interview. And that changed my perspective of talking to people, perspective of how we should interview folks. So that became like a breath of fresh air. So that means today, if we look at work, right? So in one of the days when we were talking about this anecdotal stories of how we can use a gun playbook, this story came to my mind, and I was talking internally with few of my team members, and we were talking about how today work is synonymized with stress. I have too much work to do. I have a work to finish. So you can pretty much replace it with stress and still, it's you understand the emotion of that sentence. But can we make it more serving or more fulfilling, more mindful, more energizing, more intrinsic, right? So if you say I have a craft to finish, so now you understand that it's for you that you're trying to do. You're actually getting better. So that means our relationship to this idea of work, right? So instead of thinking is, okay, I need to do this job A, B, and C for this, so this particular gentleman or gentle lady can sort of be happy and not yell at me. I can think about, okay, so how is this A, B, and C is improving my craft? And once we have that aspect, once we have that attitude, we can really start to see that relationship. And as anyways, the work itself is changing. So we all admit, whether we are from the technology side, whether we're from the business side, whether we are from the worker side, we all understand the work itself. Okay, should I do it? Should the robot do it? Should the automation do it? Should uh, who will solve that problem for me? And then we have to have this flex room. So we anyways as a worker needs to find our positioning. So that's the third story, that we need to rethink work itself as a worker, that it should serve me more than I should be serving this particular word. So that means community is important. That means the whole idea of the workplace should be important. And lastly, the idea of um, the very nature of work is important. So with that, thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Vishal. That was wonderful. I think very thought provoking. I think just from a shift of mindset, I would think, based on all that you mentioned, from transactional to strategic, maybe from managing to leading, or even, I think, having more empathy and compassion around in our workplaces. Definitely, I think will help. I'm going to check if there were any questions um, for you from our audience. Let me just do a quick look, and then possibly have you maybe answer a question or two. We have a couple more minutes left, so maybe we could do one or two questions and wrap it up. So I guess one question is um, from the, I think what we talked about, you said, from a mental health perspective, right? From what we can do to support the staff or employees in the workplace, um, workplace spirituality. And I think you kind of touched on it, meditation and other things that you could do. What do you think? How do you see that? Like, I know it's a topic that's not very often covered quite a bit, but what do you think about workplace spirituality and how hiring philosophy can change? I think how do leaders look at hiring philosophies from more of that angle, from a workplace spirituality angle?
I think that's a very good question. So we had this discussion internally. Basically, we have this ergonomic experts, consultants in companies. They go and they look at your workspace. They provide guidance. Okay, this, get this, whatever, right? So we should also have a mindfulness consultant in some ways, right? So whether it's spirituality, whether it's some other thing that sort of I find it encouraging, whether it's the culture of the team itself, we definitely sees a need of this particular role of mindfulness consultant, and we're talking to get someone internally to start practicing and start seeing how would that, and then bring some of those practices well in Tao as well. But you're spot on. Like we just like we someone get us a ergonomic keyboard, someone should understand what am I, what I love doing, and provide me with that support ecosystem that I'm always feel part of the society and part of the ecosystem.
Great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that insight. Thank you for your time again today.